Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. Feel free to check out last week's episode and make sure you have subscription notifications turned on to be alerted of new episodes. We'll start with some general gaming news before finishing up with Diablo and Overwatch. Feel free to reference the timestamps in the description below to skip ahead. Kicking things off with Monster Hunter World. Last week we brought up Monster Hunter World and how it's being very well received by critics, by players. A lot of you folks sounded off in the comments saying that I should pick up the game. I realize that it's not yet out on PC, so I'll have to wait for the PC release, but I likely will pick it up. And currently, it's the top paid game on the Xbox Store, dethroning PUBG. This game has been soaring to success, and I'm interested to see how far it's going to go. Next, we're going to follow up on a leak/rumor that we covered a couple weeks ago about Cyberpunk 2077 having a presence at E3 2018. We cover that in this video if you want the backstory, but new information, and this is official, is that CD Projekt Red will have a presence at E3 2018. They've officially registered. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean they'll be there for Cyberpunk, but it does lend some credibility to that rumor. Next story, a follow-up on a game that we've discussed a couple times here, Red Dead Redemption 2. According to a leak, this game will have a Battle Royale mode like PUBG. And the source of this leak is trusted reviews, so you can trust them. It's right in the name. But in all seriousness, I am inclined to trust them simply because they said they've been sitting on this info since August 2017. They didn't publish the story then. They didn't run with it because they couldn't verify their leak. And I could respect that. That's journalistic integrity. And what happened was, over the months, when new information was revealed about Red Dead Redemption 2, that corroborated the leaked information that they received. So, let's say they receive 5 facts, just to simplify things. If 2 of them turn out to be true, then odds are the 3 that haven't been revealed yet to be true probably are going to be true. So that's the case here, that a couple of the things that they got turned out to be true, so now they're coming out with this Battle Royale leak. And honestly, it's not far-fetched either. Battle Royale is the in thing, and I can see Rockstar wanting to capitalize on that. Now, does this make you more excited or less excited for Red Dead Redemption 2? Given the direction that GTA Online headed with its microtransactions, do you think Red Dead Redemption 2 is just doomed to be terrible? That said, it came out this week that GTA 5 sold 15 million units in 2017. This is a game that came out in 2013. In 2017, sold more games than a lot of games released in 2017. That makes it 90 million units overall that GTA 5 has sold. So it's certainly got numbers to back it up, but what are your thoughts on GTA Online right now? I think GTA 5, the base game, the single player, is universally acclaimed, but the state of what GTA Online has become is certainly under a greater critical eye. And I turn the question to you folks. Sound off in the comments. What do you think about GTA Online, and what do you think is going to happen with Red Dead Redemption 2? Our next story here is about Capcom and Dead Rising. This is a story that Kotaku broke. They got an insider tip from a source that wished to remain anonymous, saying that Capcom was downsizing their Vancouver office and cutting down the scope of the next Dead Rising game. Capcom later reached out to Kotaku to clarify that it does turn out that they downsized about 30% of the studio, so there previously were about 250 employees working in Capcom's Vancouver office. So some quick math tells us that's about 75 people laid off. They'd be down to 175 employees now. But a lot of fans of Dead Rising are reacting to this like it's a positive thing, that focusing the scope might actually strengthen the game. It's going to bring the game back to its roots. In the first and I think the second Dead Rising, you were basically just in a mall before the scope kind of got out of hand and it lost the essence of what made Dead Rising really great. But I turn the question to you folks. If you're a fan of the Dead Rising series, if you've played one or more of the games, what are your thoughts on how it's progressed, where it's going, and what this latest news brings? Next, we'll quickly mention that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are coming to Injustice 2. There is a new trailer for that, you can check it out. I'll have all links, as usual, in the description below. And next, I'd like to talk about the Han Solo movie. It's not about video games specifically, but Star Wars is an important part of geek culture, and there's a lot of Star Wars games that got made, so I think this is an important topic here. So basically, a few days ago, a 1-minute teaser of the teaser of the new Han Solo movie was released, and then the full 1 minute 43 second teaser was subsequently released. When I first heard about the Han Solo origin movie, or the young Han Solo movie, I was very much thinking that I did not want to see a Han Solo movie that didn't star Harrison Ford as Han Solo. But then I saw that 1 minute teaser and I was surprisingly excited. The cinematography looked great, and their minimal usage of Han Solo in the trailer, with maybe, one line of dialogue that sounded pretty much like Han Solo, started to get me excited about this movie. And then the full trailer released, and I became very unexcited about this movie. Now, let me start with the things that I do like. Woody Harrelson's in this. I just love Woody Harrelson in anything. Donald Glover is playing Lando Calrissian. That's amazing. I love Donald Glover. I think he makes for a great Lando. In fact, I wish this was a Lando Calrissian origin story. I would rather see that. And then there was this actress here, and I'm like, she looks really familiar. I can't place her. Who is this actress? And I look it up, and that's friggin' Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. I could not recognize her without her wig. So overall, it looks like this movie has a pretty good cast, apart from the guy playing Han Solo, who is Alden Ehrenreich. And this isn't to criticize the actor, but he looks nothing like Harrison Ford. He sounds nothing like Harrison Ford. For whatever reason, in that 1 minute teaser, he says a one line that sounds very Harrison Fordy, but in this trailer, he sounded nothing like him at all.
I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy. I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy.
His acting didn't seem particularly great either, so I'm just very confused by this casting choice. So I don't know if I can enjoy this movie. If I do, I feel like it'll be in spite of Han Solo himself. I suppose the other thing is that the trailer just didn't feel very inspired. It was just seemed generic. Kind of generic dialogue, generic trailer. But I turn the question to you folks. Will this movie be a disaster, or do you think it could be good? Alright, on to Diablo news. The bans are happening, folks. The season is ending on Sunday, and we're finally getting a ban wave. It started with user reports, people noticing people getting banned, and it did seem to be a hand-picked ban wave rather than something automated. Then we got this official statement from Blizzard, quote, "A couple weeks ago, an exploit was discovered in which necromancers could receive an unfairly high advantage over other classes." We spoke about this exploit in detail in this video over here, feel free to check that out. Utilizing this exploit required both implicit knowledge and intention to execute, and as a result, we are issuing account suspensions and removing affected records from the leaderboards. You may be wondering why we're executing this now rather than when we originally fixed the exploit. The long and short of it is that this was a very complicated issue to track, and we are, as always, dedicated to ensuring we are not punishing players who may be innocent. I think this was handled the right way. This was a difficult exploit to deal with regards to actioning accounts. I was getting concerned that nothing was going to happen because this exploit was topping the Necromancer leaderboards. So I'm glad that this came in before the season ended, and community manager Nevelistus, who posted these comments, further elaborated on Reddit when asked whether there would be any bot ban waves. Quote, "We very specifically do not comment about our bot ban waves at the request of our risk operations team. For this team in particular, botting is an ever-evolving Cold War where it's better that we talk as little as possible about our detection methods, when we take actions, and our general approach. This information goes a long way to helping botters fight back. The quiet on this subject does not mean we aren't investigating, actioning, or developing new methods to combat bots. It's just a place where transparency actually hurts our end goal." So this is definitely promising news for a lot of players, those who care about the competitive scene in Diablo 3. Again, this exploit in particular could not have been something you did by accident. If you did this exploit, you absolutely 100% knew you were exploiting. And there's even some rumors that some botters have gotten banned, specifically well-known streamers. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to throw shade, but there's at least one big streamer that was pretty clearly botting that allegedly got banned, who allegedly did not use the Necromancer exploit, so it seems he could have only gone banned for botting, and again, this seems like it was a hand-picked ban. So good on Blizzard for setting an example. On to other Diablo news, it seems that former Diablo 3 lead world designer Leonard Boyarsky, after whom Boyarsky's chip is named, was interviewed by Matt Barton. I'll have a full link to the interview down below, but in it he gives a little bit of insight into the development of Diablo 3. And he says that he was basically hired for the position because of his pitch, and his pitch was to bring more RPG elements to Diablo with respect to branching storylines, more in-depth story writing. But he went on to say, quote, "Looking back on it, I don't think that was the right approach. We ended up abandoning that approach." And it is true that in the past it was planned for Diablo 3 to have branching story paths before they canned that. So I turn the question to you. What are your thoughts on that? Would you have liked to have seen that? Do you think it was a good idea? Do you think they should have kept with it? Or why do you think it was ultimately determined to be a bad approach? As a broader question, do you think it would be cool to have a Diablo game with more player agency? And by that I mean a game in which your decisions have a greater impact on both your own character and even the game world itself. For instance, imagine a Diablo 4 whose multiplayer scene had something like where you picked one of three factions, the High Heavens, the Burning Hells, or the Nephilim, and depending on your actions in game, or depending on something that you do, you can exercise control on this game overworld. Maybe it could even be on the Pandemonium Fortress, which is built into the lore of Diablo, that the Pandemonium Fortress would shift hands between the High Heavens and the Burning Hells, and when the demons controlled it, it would take on a demonic appearance, and when the angels controlled it, it would take on an angelic appearance. But that's just one idea. Sound off with your thoughts. And for that matter, what would you guys like to see in a new Diablo game? I feel there's a lot of things that we all can commonly agree on, and that's that we all want to see a dark, gritty, gothic aesthetic. I think a lot of us agree that we want more meaningful choices. I think a lot of us agree that we want a deeper itemization system, more akin to Diablo 2's, but that Diablo 3's combat is spot on with its feel. And I think a lot of things that we don't want are long cooldown powers and an endgame relying on 6-piece set bonuses. But beyond that, what do you guys want to see or not want to see? And if you disagree with any of the things that I just said, please sound off with that as well. Then lastly for Diablo, I just want to highlight something posted by Reddit user Fat Yogurt. It's a guide on how to play on the Chinese server from not China. Basically, he went through this elaborate procedure to get it working for himself. He tells you how to reproduce it. So if for whatever reason you want to play on the Chinese server, you can try to do that. Again, Diablo is a somewhat different game on the Chinese server. There are microtransactions, both cosmetic and pay to win. You can buy XP boosts, and Fat Yogurt clarified that the XP boosts are only for killing monsters, not for closing greater rifts, so it's not as significant as it at first seemed, because the greatest amount of XP you're getting generally when you're speed Paragon farming is from closing the Greater Rift, but nonetheless, do at your own risk. Alright, on to Overwatch news. The Year of the Dog event has gone live. The event will last 4 weeks. The new CTF map, Ayutthaya, has launched, and I gotta say, it's making me like CTF. Also, the map will be a permanent addition, it won't just be part of the temporary event. Along with the new map have come revisions to the CTF rules so that it doesn't always end in a draw. It should now be very rare to have a draw. I played about 5-6 matches on Ayutthaya, and I gotta say, I enjoyed it. I used to be a big-time CTF player back in Unreal Tournament, back in old arena shooters. CTF was always one of my favorite game modes. I did not like it in Overwatch, but now I am liking it. But what are your thoughts? Does this improve CTF, or is it still just as terrible as it always was? Admittedly, 5 rounds isn't quite enough for me to form a solid judgment, but my preliminary thoughts are positive. Of course, along with the event came a bunch of new skins, 6 new legendary skins, and Genji officially has the best skin in the game now. Genji is probably by far my worst hero, but this skin makes me want to become a Genji main. Another nice little addition is now on the character selection screen. Once you've loaded into a map, you can change your skin for your character on a per map basis. I love this change, but I wonder now if this means that map camouflage is going to become a thing, that now there's going to be an optimum skin for every map, and that's where we're going to see people migrating to. I kind of want to do that myself, to be honest. I already was sometimes picking character skins based on which I think would make for the best generic camo, but regardless, I still think this is a great feature. In other Overwatch news, we have this post on the game forums by game director Jeff Kaplan in response to a question asking about whether there would be any D.Va nerfs in the near future. And he said, quote, "We're always evaluating all of the heroes. We don't have any D.Va adjustments in the works. She gets played a lot and is very powerful, but she's not on our list currently. These heroes are on our balance list. Mei, Sombra, Symmetra, Doomfist, Torbjorn, Hanzo. We're trying different things for all of them. I know you want details, but I don't have them now. We're experimenting. Some will be ready sooner than others. I'd expect Mei, Sombra, and Doomfist first. Maybe Hanzo, depending on the direction we pick. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel that there should be diva nerfs? And are you excited about changes coming to the other heroes that we've mentioned? Speaking of heroes who have been changed, Mercy. Ever since Mercy's latest nerf, aka balance fix, Mercy usage has been on a steady decline. And as a result, we've seen a lot more variety emerge in supports picked per team. And a lot more people wanting to play support. Now, supports still aren't in a perfect place. There still are some balancing issues amongst existing supports, but Mercy certainly no longer is a mandatory pick. So I turn the question to you, what do you think needs to happen to finish balancing out supports? Alright, on to some cool stuff in the world of Overwatch this week. We've got this Zarya cosplay by Mystic Arts Fashion and Cosplay, and then by Eric Made Things on Etsy, we have these coasters that were made based on the icons for various character ultimates. And that's going to wrap up this week's video. Do remember to leave a comment on any and every story that we've covered. And if you have a story you would like to suggest, feel free to go post it in the subreddit. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to our Twitch and Patreon supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and would like to support the development of more content, feel free to pledge on Patreon, where your support is immensely appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.